Hey guys, Landon13 here, and today we are doing a movie review on the franchise known as Back to the Future. So, of course, Back to the Future was made in 1985, basically the same plot as the film takes place in. So, we follow a teenager called Marty McFly, played by Michael J. Fox, brilliant actor, and he just portrays the actor really good. And then we have the mad scientist, Doc, or Emmett Brown, played by Christopher Lloyd. He's brilliant too, and they're like the main characters. So basically, the plot's simple. Doc invents a time machine out of DeLorean, and of course, Doc gets shot by the Libyans, and of course, Marty accidentally gets time travel back to 1955, where he messes up events that his parents from meeting, and now it's basically a race against the clock for him to get his parents to kiss, or else he is gonna disappear. Along with that, Doc is trying to help Marty to get back to 1985 in the DeLorean, and of course the DeLorean doesn't have any plutonium in it because, well, Marty accidentally time traveled. So of course they have to figure out a way of how to send Marty back, and of course the easier solution is basically a bolt of lightning that hits the clock tower, and basically making sure that the DeLorean travels back to that time period. But we do have some character development in this film. Of course, the parents themselves. Of course, let's talk about George McFly. George McFly is basically, I don't know who the actor's name, but throughout the film, he's like a wimp and other stuff, and people tell him to stand up for himself, but he never does until the chanted undersea dance. Of course, he punches Biff, and of course, he gets basically his character development has been completed, and he's not this cowardly wimp anymore. He's more of a cool guy. And then you got Lorraine McFly. Basically, what happened is Marty saved his dad from getting hit, and in return, he got hit by the car. So now Lorraine has the hots for Marty. So Marty's trying to figure out a way to get George to date Lorraine so he doesn't disappear. And of course, this all works out, and it actually works out for Marty pretty well. Speaking of Marty McFly is one of the main characters in the movie. He is basically a teenager. And of course he gets trapped in 1955, and the only person he can go to is Doc Brown, who only knows about how the time machine works and everything. Marty does get back in the end, and of course his life is just happy. He's got like that his parents are more happier than ever. He got that Toyota pickup truck he wanted, and of course he can take Jennifer to the lake. But then guess what happens? Doc comes into the DeLorean and he says, "Marty, we're gonna save your kids." And of course the movie ends on a cliffhanger, basically what's going to be happening in part 2. But it was a pretty good film. Doc Brown, he's played by Christopher Lloyd, and he's just funny in the movie. He's the one who invented the time machine, the flux capacitor, and all the other gizmos that make the DeLorean time travel. Basically, in 1955, Doc doesn't believe Marty until Marty tells the story of how Doc hit his head and came up with the flux capacitor, and this made Doc believable. And of course, he's like very happy. And in the end, he actually does get Marty back home to 1985. And of course, the ending. Of course, the movie ends on a cliffhanger because, well, it's a trilogy. It ends on like a cliffhanger. Basically, To be continued with part 2, of course. And let's talk about the iconic bit in the film, the DeLorean time machine. This car has become so iconic in movie franchise. It's the top car of a DeLorean company. This company has been blown up. And of course, the DeLorean's making a comeback this year. But, of course, allowed the company themselves that make the DeLoreans coming back making more. But the DeLorean time machine is so iconic, it has basically ranked on top of the most iconic movie cars of all time. It's got the Ecto-1 and the Batmobile and Knight Rider. And then we're gonna talk about that iconic scene, the clock tower scene. So basically, with Marty successfully getting parents the first kiss, and basically he's now saved. He just needs to get back to 1985. So of course a lot of things go wrong. Of course, the cord that goes to the wire accidentally unplugs, and basically Doc's trying to do it. And Marty's having some troubles with the DeLorean, but he does get it managed to work, and the payoff is just good. You got Doc hanging on the courthouse, like the clock, and of course he's scared of heights, but he just does it, like zip lines down, plugs it, and a spark of lightning comes down from the roof of the clock tower and goes into the wire, and of course the DeLorean triumphs trouble and leaving a fire trail behind. And of course Doc is celebrating afterwards. And of course it's been an iconic scene so much. There's actually Funko Pops of Doc Brown in the courthouse, of course. And it's just bloody amazing. Like, the ending of the film just leaves it like Marty and Doc are on another adventure. But we all know what happens in part 2. And it's a really good film. I would give it a rewatch. I know there's going to be a lot of swearing. Oh, speaking of which, the main antagonist of the film is Biff. He is this big jerk who basically treats George like trash. As absolutely trash. He does get punched in the face and is like, good on you, mate. And he's like, Biff also wants to date Lorraine, but Lorraine's not interested in him. So he just not happy. But he does get punched in the face by George, so basically the timeline's changed. So now George is the tough one and Biff's the whimpering one. And of course it was just amazing where Biff's like actually scared of George McFly, and of course, but Lorraine and George do thank Biff for if it wasn't for him they wouldn't get in love. Of course Marty also changed the timeline of that era too. And of course it's just an amazing film. And of course the ending with the DeLorean wheels hovering and going into the screen and just fading to black. We know what happens in part 2, but I'm going to save that for another video, for another time. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Back to the Future Part 2 movie review will be coming, so look out for that. But anyways, give this video a like. Click the notification bell and check out my other movie reviews on Jurassic Park. What else? Check out my other reviews of American Horror Story, Ghostbusters, and yeah, pretty much it. So like, subscribe, favorite the video. Show it to your friends. They're if you want to watch this movie, you can. But anyways, click that notification bell and click that subscribe button to become a Team 13. Really helps out the channel a lot. And that's Landon13 signing off for now. Bye bye.